2.4 objectives. You ready? Find slopes and equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Interpret slope as a rate of change. Find a function's average rate of change. Ready? Okay. Slopes and equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. What do you remember about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines? And what is that? Okay, so if I tell you this line has a slope of 1/2, I want you to tell me the line that is parallel to it. What's the slope? Parallel. 1/2. If I tell you that the slope is -2/3, what's the equation of, or what's the slope that's parallel to it? -2/3. Because parallel lines have what? Same slope. Okay. What if I tell you m is 1/2 and I want the equation, not the equation, why do I keep saying that? The slope of the line that is perpendicular to that slope. -2. And what about if I tell you m is 3/4? What is perpendicular to that? -4/3. Because perpendicular lines have what? Opposite reciprocal slopes. Got it? Interpreting slope as rate of change and finding a function's average rate of change. You ready? So I'm going to tell you we have this function called y equals x squared, or f of x equals x squared. What shape is that? God bless you. What shape is that? Yeah, it's a parabola, right? Guys, does a parabola have a slope? No, it does not, right? It's a curve. It's not a line. But what if I want to find the average rate of change for this function? Well, first of all, I need to tell you some things. I need to tell you this, and I need to tell you this. Now, this is something you could have figured out, right? For a parabola, you know that f of 0 is 0 and f of 1 is 1, right? Okay? So here's the deal. Sometimes I'll tell you that. Sometimes I'll tell you this. And you've got to convert this into this information. Sometimes you need to take this information and convert it into that. Does that make sense? Do you see how I got from here to here? If the x value is 0, if the x value is 1. What if I gave you that to start with? How could you get these over here? Well, if you plug in 0, what do you get? Because 0 squared is 0, right? What if I gave you this one and you plugged in a 1 here? What would you get? 1. Okay? So the average rate of change between these 2 points, now I have to find the slope between these 2 points. Knowing that this total equation right here is a curve, I'm not finding the slope of the curve. I'm finding the average rate of change between these 2 points. And we know that the other word for rate of change is what? Slope. Yeah, okay. So now here's what we talked about before, right? Right? Could I instead write it this way? Isn't that exactly the same thing? For us, our level, right? So what is the value of the function at the second point? 1. What is the value of the function at the first point? 0. What is x2? 1. What is x1? What's 1 minus 0? Try again, okay. And what is 1 minus 0? So what is the average rate of change between these 2 points? 1. Okay. I feel like I should do another example because when I just asked what's 1 minus 0, you said 0. So I'm going to do another example just to make sure. Okay. Sometimes you guys worry me. So this time we're going to go backwards, okay? Last time I gave you these and we talked about where those came from. This time I'm giving you this. We're going to still use the same function, f of x equals x squared. I'll go ahead and write that over here so we're clear. But now I need these two right here. I need f of 1, because that's a value it gives me right here. And what's the other one I need? F of what? 2, right? So what happens when I put in a 1 into this problem? Good. What happens when I put a 2 into this problem? 4. So let's fill this in. What is the value of the function at the second point? What's the value of the function at the first point? What is the first value of x, or excuse me, the second value of x, and the first value of x? So let's try this really slowly. What is 4 minus 1? 3. Excellent. What is 2 minus 1? Okay, that was really, that took way too long. And what is 3 divided by 1? 3. So here's what's really important that you realize, okay? The first 2 points I gave you are those first, like the vertex and that first point of a parabola, right? The average rate of change between those 2 points was 1. So if I drew a line between those 2 points, its slope would be 1, right? If you took the second point of a parabola and the third point of a parabola that we usually talk about, that's these two, isn't it? And the average rate of change between those 2 points is actually 3. So if I connected those 2 points, I get a different slope than if I choose the first 2 points. Curves don't have slopes. Curves have average rates of change. And I have to pick and choose which 2 points I'm using. Because if I use the first one and the third one, wouldn't I have a totally different average rate of change? Yes. Okay. Any questions about that or any question about any of our objectives today? Okay. 1 minus 1 is, let's all say it together. Ready? 1 minus 1 equals 0. Excellent.